Surely, the power of kindness is no longer an idea worth spreading. Its message is literally plastered on plaques on walls, printed on t-shirts, and engraved on bracelets. Its value was taught to me by my precious parents and by my very dear Christian faith, and is often reminded by the voices of Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, and Brené Brown. So sorry, Ted. Or wait, isn't it? Is it ever possible that the idea of kindness becomes irrelevant? I love the idea, the notion, the premise that kindness did not start with me. It did not start with you. It did not start with us. A call to kindness existed way before we got here. Kindness resides in our very DNA. It exists in our bones, all the way down to our toes. So often, I wish it extended more to our phones. But hey, I digress. A kindness to self, a kindness to the known, a kindness to the unknown. Its impact is so very far-reaching. Let me take you back to the 23rd day of April, 2023. It was a day that brought forth unrelenting rain, very much like today, but also unwavering hope, tinged with excitement and nerves. It was a day that brought together thousands of humans, ranging from 17 years old to 90 years old. It was a day that brought me closer to a dream that my husband and I had prepared for by months and months of training. It was a day that brought me to the starting line of the London Marathon. And that day was one that I had thought was impossible for somebody like me. Doable for lots of other people who had done it ahead of me, but surely not for somebody like myself. Well, the day came. And I ran that first half of that marathon with incredible zest, passion, and strength. I remember that my children were tracking me on the app and were completely amazed by the strength and the determination of their mother. It felt so easy. And I remember thinking that every single person should have an opportunity to run in a marathon. I really thought that. It felt as easy as pie. And then it happened. It wasn't sudden. It was more like darkness encroaching on a summer's day that is so unnoticeable until you can barely see the whites of another's eyes. Every step was marked and punctuated by increasing distress, discouragement, and disbelief. A disbelief of whether I would actually make it to the finish line. I knew that my husband, Ben, was off there doing his own race, running his own race. We'd given ourselves full permission to run our own races. I knew that he was doing his own thing. But was I? Was I going to make it to the finish line? It was then that Simon saw me. Simon was one of the other runners who was also fundraising for the asthma and lung charity. And we were visible because our vests were in colors of purple, pink, and orange, all of which are actually some of my favorite colors. We had noticed each other as we had run that first half, and we had given each other that nod. And if you're a runner, you know that nod. That nod that you give each other when you acknowledge that I see you and you see me. But this time, Simon really saw me. He saw that my face had become battered, not by the rain, but by the strain and the pain that threatened to overtake me. Simon saw me, and this total stranger decided that together we were absolutely going to make it to the finish line. Simon did not just think kind thoughts about my plight. Simon did not just have kind feelings about my situation. Simon decided to act. He chose to come side by side and run step by step with me. I know that he could have run faster, but Simon knew that I needed him if I was going to get to the finish line. And as the crowds roared louder and louder, they shouted more and more for Simon, because apparently it's easier to call out the name of Simon than it is to call out Ronke. Or is it? Hey, that's a whole TED talk for another day. Watch this space. Simon cried out to the crowds, "Give it up for Ronke! Give it up for Ronke!" He knew that I needed all the encouragement that would get me to that finish line. And to that finish line we did get. And I am so grateful that because of Simon's kindness, my husband and I were able to tick off another dream, another goal on our bucket list. Simon's kindness made such a powerful difference for me on that day. In fact, his words remind me of the words of the wisest king ever to have lived, King Solomon, who wrote 3,000 proverbs, one of which says, "Kind words are like honey. They are sweet to the soul and healthy for the body." And I tell you that the words that I received on that day were so much sweeter than every Haribo that I consumed and every energy bar that got me through that race. It is because of stories like Simon and echoes of the voices of my parents and of my faith and of Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa and Brené Brown that lead me to invite you to sign up to the Kindness Manifesto. The Kindness Manifesto, which is a call, a commitment to not only think, to not only feel, but to act on kindness. Imagine what that would look like if every single one of us walks away with this commitment. It is a call that begins in our hearts with the words that we say to ourselves about ourselves. It is a call that extends to our homes with very simple words like please and thank you, like I love you and I am sorry. It extends to our schools, where it's about really looking out and celebrating those potentially overlooked children and celebrating their accomplishments, getting the crowd to cheer for them in very similar a vein as Simon got the crowd to cheer for me. The Kindness Manifesto in our businesses is all about recognizing the potentially unseen, those perhaps whose names sound like Ronke. It's about acknowledging, celebrating, and validating them, ensuring that they are seen, ensuring that they are heard, ensuring that they are able to make the difference that they are there to make. It means pausing before we give that piece of difficult feedback. It means injecting kindness into those spaces where there are difficult conversations. The Kindness Manifesto makes an absolute difference in all of the spaces that we inhabit: heart, homes, schools, and workplaces. And so, with all of this in mind, I want to leave you with just a little acronym so that when you are thinking of the word kind, you can remember that just that word kind is a call to remember that kindness is needed daily. Kindness is needed daily. It's never enough. And so when you find yourself thinking, I've done enough, ask yourself again, where can I not just think or feel, but act on kindness? This is the call. This is the commitment to the Kindness Manifesto. And yes, I can see that plastered on plaques on walls, printed on t-shirts, engraved on bracelets. So let us breathe life into those words. The power of kindness is still an idea worth spreading. It always will be. The Kindness Manifesto. Please accept my invitation not to run in a marathon, but to sign up to the Kindness Manifesto. Are you in? Thank you.